Hello and welcome. Now, sometime last year, the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Collins Dauda, considered that the provision of sufficient and sustainable potable water in Ghana is challenging. He said it was time to look for practical solutions by ensuring efficient management and massive infrastructural investment. But that has not happened, and the situation has dragged on for the past 30 years. It doesn't look like there's an end in sight for the many unserved and irregular served actions of the urban population. Over the past week, Accra has been hit by acute water shortage due to closure of the Weja Headway treatment plant for repair works on the burst pipe. So what at all is Ghana's problem with supply of potable water? Are we lacking systems or lacking managerial competence to solve the basic problem of water supply? In the studio with me to discuss this issue is Leonard Shang-Kwortey, who is a policy analyst from Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC. And then joining me on the phone later will be Nanaya Berima-Banier, Communications Manager for Ghana Water Company. My name is Nana Sakwao and this is PM Express. The water crisis in Ghana, is there any solution in sight? Is there any short-term measure? Are there any plans for long-term measure? Who knows? With me in the studio is Leonard Shang-Kwortey, a policy analyst from ISODEC. And then joining us on the phone will be Nanaya Berima-Banier, Communications Manager for Ghana Water Company. Leonard is my own brother anyway. Bruv, good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome back to your show.
Thank you, Nana.
Let me start simple by asking: is it managerial incompetence? Is that the issue?
I mean, it cannot be managerial incompetence alone. I mean, the single problem definition of situations are usually problematic. Mm-hmm. It cannot be that only one factor could account for what the challenges GWCL is facing. I mean, the issues are many, and managerial, I would not want to say incompetence, but then managerial issues are only one, is only one of the many challenges facing GWCL. Among the challenges, you could mention the issue about investment, which we've mentioned several times, and then the issue also of the sector not being free from political influences, and therefore giving the leadership of, for instance, GWCL, the needed room to ensure that, that there is performance in the sector, particularly in relation to staff discipline and procurements.
Water is such a basic and a very, very necessary, commodity that we can't do without. It's literally life. What measures can we put in to make sure that I don't invite you here 2014 talking about people living especially in urban areas talking about I don't have water? I mean, if you lived in in the middle of the forest, we can understand, but you live in the middle of the capital city. What can we put in place to make sure I don't call you back to discuss this issue?
I think the reason why we've been having this prolonged discussion and regular discussions on the water challenge is because we've been sidestepping the real solutions that we should take in order to put things right in the sector. I mean, we've been avoiding the real issues to raise. And for instance, if you sidestep the real issues, I mean, you will come to a conclusion which gives you some solution that you can work around in terms of the cost. So I think that is the main problem. Until we are able to address the real challenges head on and then acknowledge that these are the challenges. Investment is a challenge, freeing the sector from the political influences is another, and then also dealing with the managerial issues. Until we are able to deal with these three issues, I think we will continue to be having these discussions. And that's something that we've been doing in the past. If you, for instance, look at this document before me that the GWCL presented to the PULC. This is a document that they presented making a case for further increments. And you look at the challenges that they claim they are facing. They are only part of the real challenges that they do face. For instance, the critical or the most significant challenge that GWCL faces as of now was excluded in this document. Because, for instance, if you include that challenge in the document, then PULC will, for instance, ask you to go back and then, because that has to do with non-revenue water. Non-revenue water is a major challenge. So one is at a loss that they did not include it in this document they call 2013 Water Tariff Adjustment Proposal submitted to PULC. And they, I don't know whether to say conveniently, left that out. If you leave out that problem, then you are left with some, because let's go back to that same issue. I mean, there are two segments of our society who will end up paying for the sector to be, I mean, for us to get it right in the sector. There are two segments. One is government, the other is consumers. So, for instance, GWCL knows that it is having challenges getting what it needed from government, and consumers are those that it can adequately collect from. So they define the problem in terms of a consumer problem and not a government challenge, so that at least they can resolve the challenge that they see through tariff financing. But then as we go on in the discussions, you realize that this will in no way attend to the problem. So again, come, let's say, a month from now, we will be discussing this issue again.
They proposed privatization. Maybe they proposed privatization because they know that if it's a private individual and they supplied 37 Kolebu or Odoko police station, as a private man, he would come and demand their money. They don't care. Being that it's probably a government entity chasing another government entity, they're a bit lax in the money. ISODEC, however, kicked against privatization of this thing. Going back, do you think it should have been a good way so that they could collect the money?
I think if you look around the world, the evidence suggests that there is a massive trend of what they call in other jurisdictions remunicipalization. Within our own jurisdiction, we would want to say nationalization. That's what we had in 2011. That only tells us that the private solution is not working. And the private solution is not working because of one key reason. It goes back to the issue of investments, because, for instance, there are two costs that you have to take care of: operational costs and capital related costs that deals with infrastructural expansion and rehabilitation and what have you. And capital costs, you cannot do that through tariffs. For instance, if you look at the GWCL's own revenue stream, its IGF, internally generated fund, is only about 3 million United States dollars. And then what it gets from government of Ghana is about 2 million United States dollars. And then external support.
You're not allowed to say you'll be jailed though. only joking.
No. I'm only referring to their own documents.
Anyway, the documents came before, so we're allowed.
Yes. So my defense will be in their documents. And then you look at the amount coming from external our donors and whatever. It's about $30 million United States dollars. So it tells you the extent of, the size of IGF that we have. That's only about 3 million. You compare 3 million to the total requirement. The total requirement per year, they put around 117 million United States dollars in order to get the sector working as it should. And you look at tariffs.
Tariffs bring in 3?
That's their IGFs. And so we are looking at
government
tariffs.
is putting in 2.
2.
And then donors are putting in 30.
So it tells you about our priority, how we have prioritized the sector. And it also sends us back to the question why we keep hammering on the issue of investment, that we should, as a country, be able to prioritize the sector and put in the needed resources.
You see, because it's so capital intensive, and knowing us, we'll run to the first country that will give us a loan to come and, but it's never going to be internally generated. Now, with the way we collect our tariffs, where, as we've said, that the government are not paying, it will always show on their books. If we privatize it and the revenue collection is better, won't people be more willing to put money in it, knowing that, well, in 20, 30 years' time, I can make my money back and some more?
Like I made reference to the high trend of remunicipalization and nationalization that is occurring in state-owned water utilities that went private and are now going back to public or state-run. You realize that the numbers are now above 100. The numbers are above 100 as we speak around the world. And the reason why this is happening is because the private sector people go into the sector and they realize that, getting funds for the capital-intensive work is not easy as they thought. And financing these costs also through tariffs was also not possible, because there's a limit to which citizens could take. So faced with these stressful situations, most of them are pulling out, or most of them ended up with their contracts being terminated. Because if you push beyond a particular limit, the limit that citizens could bear, there will be some response from the citizens, and usually it ends up in clashes. And those contracts ended up being terminated, or even in some cases voluntary withdrawal by the private concerns. So it tells you that the privatization option is not an option at all. We have to get back to the scratch and then get our government to do what is needed. And what is needed, like I'm telling you, you have 30 million by way of external support, and we're only putting in about 2 million to the sector. That is not good enough.
So the external support have got water industry more dear to their heart than we do.
Done. So that's why citizens must also add their voice, because at the end of the day, because the capital works are so expensive, that's why we think that maybe there could be contributions from our tax inputs into the state. And if our taxes cannot be used for such ends, then I don't know what else our taxes could go into.
Let me bring Nana Yao Berima Bania, Communications Manager for Ghana Water Company. Nana Bania.
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's a shame we couldn't get you in studio, but at least we can have you on phone.
Come again, sir.
I said it's a shame we didn't get you in studio, but at least you're talking to us.
Yes. I'm a bit busy here, so
no
I'm
problem.
very sorry I couldn't make it to the studio. Next time I'll try and make it up for you, sir.
Very well. Anyway, obviously, since we're talking about the water, the challenges, and mainly the way forward, Nana, we're just trying to find out what we can do to stop this, phenomenon from happening again. Because I mean, water is so basic. And in your opinion, you work in the industry. What is the issue? Why we keep coming back to I don't have water, I don't have water, I don't have water? What is it?
Well, I must say that the water industry is a very capital-intensive one. So it requires the injection of a lot of capital. Unfortunately, over the years, we have not been able to get commensurate amount of capital to invest in the sector to enable us perform to our maximum. However, fortunately for us, now government has been able to secure some loans from China, which we are using to construct a new treatment plant altogether. And that treatment plant, when completed in December this year, will give us 40 million gallons of water, in addition to the necessary 3 million gallons of water that we are currently producing. The reason why we keep going back to the issue of no water, is that of investment. We have not been able to invest as much as the industry or the sector requires in Ghana. But we are hoping that coming December this year, we will have gone a long way in resolving the matter to a very large extent. If this project, which we are still undertaking, is completed, we will be able to bridge the demand and supply gap to an appreciable level, where the little rationing that we do will enable our customers to get water the way they expect. But if I should talk about the specific case we have on hand, the Wager treatment plant had to be shut down last Sunday as a result of a major burst that occurred on our 40-inch diameter transmission pipeline that transports water from Wager to Accra. This occurred on Thursday evening. So on Sunday midnight, we had to shut down the plant. So our people have been working day and night since then. And fortunately now, we have been able to complete the job. And Wager has started pumping water to town. So we believe that by, say, midnight today, getting to morning tomorrow, the problem of water will have been solved to a very large extent. So if you ask me about what we are doing or what has to be done, this is the issue, sir.
Okay, Nana Banier, let me find, where is this new plant, this 40 million gallon plant that you're building?
Oh. Come again, sir.
Is it the same pond plant you're talking about, or is it a different one? The 40 million.
I'm saying that we are building a new treatment plant. Currently, we have plants at pond which gives us 40 million gallons of water a day at pond, and we are building additional plants, additional treatment plants.
Yeah, and I'm saying, where are you building it? Is it
are we building?
No. Where? Which area? Is it the same pond or?
Yeah, it is being built at pond.
Okay, so there's
there's
going to
around the same area where the current treatment plant is located. We are building additional plants at pond.
So there's going to be two. There's going to be two plants at pond now.
Yes, we are going to have 2 plants at pond.
Okay.
We are going to have 2 plants.
And this second one, how long have you got for completion? This new one?
It is expected to be completed by December this year. In fact, the completion date originally was May 2015, May 2015. But according to the contractors, they have been able to speed up work such that they will be able to complete it by December this year. So we are hoping that by December 2014, that treatment plant will come on stream to add additional 40 million gallons of water to our existing production of 93, which is from both the present pond treatment plant and the Wager one. The two combined gives us currently 93 million gallons of water. And when the new pond treatment plant is completed, we are going to add 40 million gallons of water to our existing production. I must also add that there are two other projects that are also going on at the same pond treatment plant. We call the two projects pond intake and Atani Rural Water Rehabilitation and Expansion Project. These are two projects that have been undertaken at pond treatment plant as I speak to you. And it is for that reason that we issued out a press release that we are going to shut down the pond treatment plant to enable us do some critical interconnections at the intake. What we are doing is that we are going to connect a newly laid 72-inch steel raw water pipeline to an existing 60-inch fiberglass raw water pipeline. So it is that project which we are undertaking. That is why we are requesting for 4 dates, beginning from 24th of February to 27th February. So the contractors will be able to do these critical interconnections to enable us to complete the project in 3 months. The pond intake and Atani Rural Water Rehabilitation and Expansion Project is scheduled to be completed in 3 months' time. When that project is completed, we will add 12.5 million gallons of water to the existing production at pond. So in all, getting to the end of this year, if we are able to complete both the Atani Rural Water Rehabilitation Plant and then the pond water supply expansion project, we are getting an addition of 52.5 million gallons of water to add to the existing 93 million gallons that we are able to produce currently.
Wow. Well, that's impressive. So, per these statistics, it means you're going to meet your demand, because at the moment you are short by about 33 million gallons.
We are short by 57 million gallons.
Oh,
we have a shortfall, a demand shortfall of 57 million gallons a day. So with these two projects coming on board, we are going to be able to break the demand to a very large extent. The supply gap, the supply-demand gap is going to be bridged considerably.
Yes, from this it will definitely be bridged considerably. I'm going to take a break here. When I come back, I just want to find out from you. Before this pipe burst, I mean, even though there are certain areas that always struggled with water, like
Hello, come again, sir. I didn't get what you said.
I said I'm going to take a break, but when I come back, I just want to put a question to you. There were some usual areas like the Adenters and co who never had water. But then you had the areas like Spinters and co who always had water. But now, everybody seems to be running short of water before the pipe burst. Stay tuned. When I come back, you answer that for me. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you.
Hello, and the topic is Ghana water crisis, and we're trying to find out, is there any solutions? But if you've been tuning in, you should know that there's solutions coming up, because we are at the moment 57 million gallons upside down. But with a couple of projects in the pipeline, by December we should bridge the gap to about 3 million gallons upside down. We won't even notice that there's not water anywhere. Everybody will get water. But I have on the phone with me Nana Bania from Ghana Water Company. Nana, are you with me?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
You know, the issue I raised before was that even though, you know, there was that shortfall, most people now complain, people who normally had regular water supply, like the Spintex area that I know of, now, you know, every 3 days your water is off. I don't know if you're aware of it.
I am not aware of any supply shortfall at Spintex Road. Wija does not serve that area. That place is served from Pond.
Okay.
So I am not aware that they are going through any water supply challenges. Maybe I will have to find out what may be.
But does Pond come under the Ghana Water Company, or?
Hello?
Does Pond, it must come under the Ghana Water Company.
You say Pond what?
It comes under the Ghana Water Company.
Yes.
I thought you speak for them, or you don't?
Come again?
I thought you speak for the Ghana Water Company.
Yes, I speak for Ghana Water Company, yes.
And that's what I'm saying, you know, so if we have an issue, you know, I still have to come to you, or?
If you have any
water issue, you know, I thought you can speak to it.
The line is very faint. I can hardly hear you.
What I'm saying is, if you speak for Ghana Water Company, then so far as it's water issues, regardless of where I am, whether Weja or Pong, I can speak to you. That's why I'm saying that.
Oh yes. That one you can talk to me wherever you happen to be.
Let me stick to the Weja side. The customers that you use to supply regularly, have they complained of irrational water supply? Because I'm sure if you go out there, most people don't have the regular supply that they used to get anymore.
I have a challenge at hand. I don't know whether it is from my handset. The voice, the sound is very low. Really? I cannot hear what you are saying.
But I can okay. I'll get this sound guys to fix it for us. Let me talk to my brother in the studio. Very good news. We're only going to be 3 million upside down. If we try very hard, probably in 5 years' time there will be more water than people need.
Yeah, I think the government must be commended for these initiatives. But then, as is often said, engineers normally like playing around with new designs and new projects. But then what is also important is to address the issues of the worn-out facilities that is talking about existing. And it is from those systems or from those lines that usually we get these intermittent bursts, and therefore communities which will not have water supply for days, for weeks in some cases. So yes, it's good we are working on expanding, but then we also need some resources that will also look at replacements, particularly of worn-out facilities. And I think we'll need our engineers to be enthusiastic about those aspects also.
Let me see if I can hear Nabania. Is the line any better? Hello, have I got Nabania? No, I think they'll try and connect him for me. Because what I was trying to find out for him, what the percentage of losses are. Because if indeed we're losing about 40%, it means if we put in 100 million barrels, we're just putting in 60 million barrels, gallons of water. And, you know, who pays for all that money that goes back? When we finally connect, you know, I'll put that question to him. Because otherwise, then the question is, you have to pay more tariffs.
And that's an important question, because that's also connects with the issue of the worn-out systems and facilities that we have. Because it is true, some of these worn-out facilities that we acquire such huge losses. So I think it will be important to look at that. For instance, if you look at what the GWCL claim as being the cost of producing 1 cubic meter of water, it's around 1.86 cedis. And if you look at this figure, and also look at it in terms of its composition, in terms of the losses, then you realize that a lot of such costs are being pushed onto consumers, which is not fair. So I think the issue about water losses is something that we need to take care of. And I mean, we could look at the various types that exist, and then try and then deal with them as we move on.
Have I got an Abani bag? Anyway, so the other thing, I know you won't agree with privatization, but because of the workload and the system, can there be a system where, you know, Wager pumps the water to Dansoman and says, look, Dansoman, I've given you 10 gallons of water this month. You take it and distribute it to your people and go and collect your money, but at the end of the month, come and pay me back my 10 million, so that that headache is off their system.
Yeah, I think two things will be needed for that. That is the infrastructural layout that will permit such bulk supply to, for instance, communities. And I don't think the existing pipeline system or layout allows for that. But then if that should be the case, then that should be possible. That's one. The second thing will have to do with the framework, how we are going to manage that. For instance, who is the community? Is it going to go through the district assembly? Will the district assembly have, let's say, a unit or a department that will be responsible for taking in such supplies? Or are we going to have a situation where we'll have private companies bidding to be distributors of supplies received from Ghana Water Company Limited? Or are we going to have a situation like we did have in Savelugu, where the community was able to organize itself and was receiving water in bulk from GWCL and was taking care of everything from billing to collection of rates to repairs of broken down pipes, and so it depends. I mean, the framework for that will have to be detailed. Out properly before we can attempt that. But then even that will also bring about very interesting discussions as to who should do the distribution. But then surely that could be one way to go. I mean, most of the problems that we are having are also as a result of the overly centralized structure that we have in GWCL. So, for instance, I mean, the situation whereby we have some of these functions decentralized will free GWCL. So, for instance, as the suggestion is, GWCL will only be responsible for the production function, and the distribution function could either be taken up by communities or the district assemblies, if we are able to design the framework.
The period
properly.
in which Aqua Returns ran was sort of managing that side, was it better? I mean, why, when their contract renewed, what were the challenges? Because the whole idea was that it takes the workload, I supply you the water, you go and, you know, make sure it's distributed. And what was the challenge?
I think basically Returns, or Aqua Returns, took up the operational functions, and which has to do with both the production and the distribution functions, that is for urban water supply. But then, I mean, they also run into problems, and usually we should also remember that there was a time like this when the water situation was so dire that incensed the public, and then called or supported the move for Aqua Returns to be thrown out. So usually when I mean, the supply system is as it is, I mean, there's a way that the public gets incensed or gets agitated, and then calls for the heads of whoever is in charge, which is in order. So it is not as if Returns did a better job and GWCL is doing worse, but then it goes back to having the right tools and having the room to be able to operate. Returns, yes, had the managerial competencies, but then the resources were not there, and they were equally staffed. GWCL also has a lot of competent managers and engineers. I believe that if we are able to, for instance, provide them with the needed resources, and then also provide them with the needed management framework that insulate them from political pressures, I think they will be able to deliver.
Most people have really kicked against prepaid meters for watering. With the amount which they say they are charging for it, if it's true, I mean, there's so much, you know, for 1,000 liters of water, you know, there's so much they were charging. And it's actually less than what you go and buy with your yellow gallon at the tap. So why wouldn't you do prepaid metering so that, you know, we save everybody the hassle of whether they're going to pay or not?
I think we will do prepaid watering if there is any clear need or demand for that. But then currently the situation on the grounds do not suggest that there is any need for that. Prepaid water metering targets one thing, and that is to aid in revenue collection. As we speak, GWCL, when it comes to revenue collection, is among the best in Africa. At least from their own records, they are collecting close to about, I mean, their collection rate success is about 94%. It's about 94%.
But that's for private sector.
That's for yes,
because they are struggling with the non-revenue
yeah,
water.
Excluding government, excluding government. So from private, where private is domestic and industrial, I mean, they have that success. They have that success rate. So prepaid. I mean, if this situation was not the case and they are doing poor in this area, we can say okay then. But then currently that is not the situation. So when you bring up the argument for prepaid water metering, I mean, people become curious, and this is what they could be targeting. Now they are improving upon capacity. They are also actually in this document, one of the measures that they have planned to sort of use in improving the situation.
Hold it there, and then I'll come back and then we'll do that. But we're trying to get Mr. Bani again. I want to find out why they presented the document to PURC and didn't tell them about the challenges in non-revenue water, i.e. water going to government institutions that are not being paid. Stay tuned. Okay, let me remind you that Komla Dumo's funeral, you know, you want to get full access as Ghana and the world bid goodbye to a star that burned brightly but too briefly. From Friday 21st February to Saturday 22nd February 2014, watch the live extensive coverage of the funeral of Komla Afeke Dumo on Adum TV and Joynews TV on Multi TV. Join us as we say goodbye to a brother, a friend, a mentor, a colleague, all on Multi TV. So from tomorrow onwards, you want to stay tuned. Yeah. And in the meantime, I'll go back and talk water issues and the challenges and the way forward. You know, I must say, I can't get hold of the communication director anymore, but I just wanted to find out from him, you know, why the challenges which you've listed, and I think you're going to go through them, challenges listed, and they haven't included the main challenge, which is these guys who use a bulk of your commodity but don't pay you. But obviously he's not there. But if we get hold of him, I will put the question to him. But you were saying something just before.
But then the reason why they did that has something to do with their prepaid metering proposal. Because, for instance, like I said, there are two segments in our society who will pay for the water, either through taxes through government or through tariff collection from citizens. These are the two ways in which GWCL will finance its operation, and it knows that it has difficulties with, getting monies from government. So defining the problem this way as it not being non-revenue water, it not being, is to say the consumer is not paying enough. So and you look at part of the recommendation here, and that has to do with financing costs such as capital costs through tariffs, which is not done anywhere. But that is something that GWCL has penciled down that it will do. So then it tells you why they want the prepaid water meters, so that the prepaid water meters become the tool for enforcing this particular policy move if they succeeded. That's so you saw them pushing through certain tariffs through PULC. PULC was able to sieve it and water it down, but then they want to move fast on this. And unfortunately for the public, they have the support of the World Bank, who want the automatic tariff adjustment to be freed so that it operates, such that tariffs are automatically adjusted as per the economic environment and situation. So that when you have such a state of affairs, then it becomes like what we have in the petroleum sector now. Even that is being so, but then this is something that GWCL is working at. So the prepaid water meters, as they have it, is only one factor in the entire game plan. And what they want to do is to have consumers pay for both the operational and capital costs, which is not good enough.
Wow. I mean, let me divert a little bit. Why don't we encourage rain harvesting? I mean, boreholes, maybe you can say it's too expensive, maybe somebody can't afford a borehole, but we are not very good at harvesting rain.
I think that is something that we should do as a country, but then our situation is not as dire or has not come to that point. It's not a problem of availability of water. The problem has to do with how to transmit or transport that water into homes, because you have a situation where rivers are flowing into the sea. But then that is something that is those are activities that people are doing by themselves because of this capacity gap in GWCL's work in its ability to port water, treated water, into homes. I think people are trying out such means, but then that is in the midst of the abundance that we have. That's an indicator of the state of GWCL. Not about their competence, but then about the ability, given the kind of resources they have to work with.
You see, I think by now it should be a state policy that every house should harvest maybe a certain percentage of the water. So every house you have, because I know a house in Accra where, you know, all underneath the living room is a big hole, literally, and so the house sits on a reservoir. So every rain that comes, they literally harvest, and they're never out of water. And it's such a basic system where it's just a hole in the foundation, obviously watertight, and then with my producer's telling me earth tremor, it doesn't affect and any rain that falls obviously just goes in there and you just pump it back up and use it. Can we probably do that?
That will be a survivalist measure given the current situation and the supply gap, but then that will not be a sustainable way going forward.
Why wouldn't it be sustainable?
The sustainable way going forward in having treated water transported to each home is to get our water systems right. I mean, fill in the gap and then have them transmit, because we have water in abundance. But then that is something
let me stay with the sustainable. Is it because we become, as they say, very dadaba when it comes to water? Because you see, other countries literally even recycle their wastewater and bring it back.
No, I'm not saying it's...
So what I'm saying...
No, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying that given our own context and circumstances, that will be survivalist. And that's a good thing to do, given the shortfalls in terms of GWCL's ability. So citizens can help themselves through that means. And at least, I mean...
I'm looking at it further, right, to say that if we all harvested, let's say, 50% of the water we use in the house through rainfall, we all have 50%. That's 50% less revenue that the state should put into water, and then if we are lucky, they'll put it in something else.
Something else. I mean, that would be a good thing, especially also on the pockets of consumers.
Yeah.
But then that will be feeding into the current trend where when there is a particular problem with a public sort of facility, then we resort to private means of solving the situation. So now we have sort of degraded to an extent public education, and the solution is for each person to send a kid into a private school. Our roads are not good. The solution is for some people to get 4x4s. So you realize that that which the common should enjoy is left to further deteriorate. I mean, when you, though it's a good suggestion, then what that does is that it adds on to this continual neglect of the collective public pool, and then we start developing our own individual means of dealing with such situation. And that will not be good enough, especially for the poor, as it is in public education for the poor, as it is also in water, because those who can afford the big storage tanks are getting, and those are the people who are selling at thrice double the price to people without.
How about wastage? I mean, because we wash cars with treated water. I mean, that is...
Yes, but then...
I mean, if you are 57 million upside down, you don't wash cars with treated water.
Yes, but I think I mentioned somewhere that some of these things are as a result of your policy. So, for instance, I mean, you receive water in your household. What is there to ensure that you use X amount for your green grass, for your pool, or there's nothing like that. Elsewhere they have dedicated, because people ordinarily have good conscience and would not want to waste treated water, while some people don't have or have less. So to deal with that, they have dedicated pipelines which sort of ports water that is of low quality. So you have different, and these ones you can use to fill your pool, you can use for all those things you should not use the treated water for. So then that's where some policy measure has been able to sort of anticipate this problem and has found a way of addressing it. Because then you have only one source.
I mean, what if the car wash base, which is almost all over, can we tell them that you have to use borehole to supply? You cannot tap into the mains to wash your cars. Can't we enforce that?
Maybe that's something that we could look at. But then, for instance, I'll go back to the question that the problem is not about quantity for us. But that does not mean that we should encourage such waste or wastage of water, because making that argument will sounds as if, okay, now we should now find ways of dealing with the mediocre situation that we have. So now it is not enough, they are not transmitting enough, so why don't we do A, B, C, D? I think, yes, it is good to be doing all that, but then it is also good to put the spotlight on GWCL and get it to reach its capacity, full capacity, as it should. And if GWCL should reach its full capacity, I think availability of water is not a problem, and every household should have water.
Leonard, thank you very much. Leonard Shankote, policy analyst from ISODEC, helping out with the issues with our water crisis and the way forward. But I'm sure next 3 years when I call him, you know, we'll be crying for people to connect to water because there's more than enough, and that's our hope. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow and follow Komla Dumo's funeral and everything.